Son, and the Holy Spirit. Buried with Christ in baptism, and raised to walk in the newness of life. We also have a number of you who work with her in Bible school on Wednesday nights, mission friends, GAs, also Sunday morning. Would you stand so that we can all thank you for your work? Let's pray together. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity that we have, God, to see one of our kids, one of your kids. Lord, as the result of our volunteers, and Lord, as a result of the efforts in partnership with the family, Lord, to see that come to fruition, and God, to have the privilege of just seeing Serenity pray to receive Christ as her Lord and Savior, and then to be able to talk with her and work with her to make sure, Lord, that there's a full understanding of the decision that she's making, and then her desire, Lord, to be baptized, to signify to the family, to signify to her church family, to our community, Lord, that she has made a decision to follow Jesus Christ. Lord, I pray that what we have witnessed today, Lord, will be used in a great way to lead other people into a saving relationship. God, will you bless our time of worship today? Lord, will you be glorified? Lord, bless the time of fellowship that we'll have afterwards. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. If you have a copy of your bulletin, why don't you just kind of look at it real quick? I'm going to let you read all the announcements for yourselves. The most important thing is after we get through with this service today, we're going over to the fellowship hall to enjoy a potluck lunch together. So we don't get our eat on today, amen? And just have a time to celebrate the last 4.5 years of Matt's ministry here. We have something that we would like to give him. We're going to give it to him now, but we're going to give you an assignment a little bit later. So Matt, if you will, come just real quick. We wanted to give you something that you would remember us by, but also something that kind of signifies what your ministry here has done. So we've got you this, and I know it's one of your favorite Bible verses from Isaiah. Really, your ministry, when you came here, this is just going to kind of be on a personal level. When Matt first came here, my daughter was going into her freshman year of high school. Some of our other students were. So as a result of this ministry, as a result of this teaching, this is what we've seen our kids do over the last 4 years. And I just want to thank you for that. So we're going to give this to you, but he's going to carry this over to the fellowship hall, and we want you to leave him a little note on the back of it. Don't be as long-winded as the preacher was, okay? You notice I got mine there on there first, so I make sure I have enough room. But just write him a little note, and so this will go on his office wall or in his home or whatever, so that he'll always think of us when he looks at it. All right? And you'll be hearing from Matt in just a little bit. You'll be hearing from our mission team as well, and then Matt's going to share the word together, and then we'll have the opportunity to share the Lord's table together this morning as well. God's good. Amen. And all the time. And let's stand. Let's worship Him.
Before the throne of God, I have a strong and perfect plea, a great high priest whose name is love, whoever lives and pleads for me. My name is great. glory and of praise. One with yourself, I cannot die. My soul is purchased with His blood. My life is hid with Christ on high. With Christ my Savior and my God. With Christ my Savior and my God. One with Himself, I cannot die. Lord, you are great and you are worthy of praise. Lord, you are worthy of praise and you are worthy of our trust. Lord, that when you call us into the deepest of waters, we know that Christ will always be our cornerstone. Lord, that Christ will always be our anchor. So, Lord, let our love and our trust and our faith in you only increase here in this place. And as we go out into this time, Father, we love you for this. In this sense. Amen.
Those who receive these points often may come down.
Brother Matt said that I don't talk enough, so I should talk. But, I guess it's a testimony. part of the service. And you wanted me to go first because you didn't like me. But, so, obviously went to El Salvador, that's Salvador's across. But I had never been on a plane before, never been out of the country, so I was extremely anxious leading up to leaving for this trip. All I knew is, I'm supposed to play guitar and sing or whatever. And that turned out to be even more fun than I expected. We had a fellow named Manuel. He's 21, has a heart for God, and he plays guitar and sings, obviously in Spanish. And he knows more English than I do Spanish. So, so we could communicate a little bit with one another. But so we got to just go into the schools because they allow the gospel to be shared at the schools, which was amazing. Just that is amazing because we obviously can't just do that here in the States. But yeah, so we all gave testimonies and spoke to the kids. You could tell that they loved having someone there who actually cared about them and stuff like that, and was just happy to have a guest who would come on a flight just to talk to them and share love with them. And so mostly what I was doing, I shared my testimony maybe once with them, but mostly we were just singing songs, and so we would have like part of it in English, part in Spanish, sometimes it's both at the same time. I think that is called Spanglish, am I correct? Okay. You're not sure? Okay, we should learn that stuff. But no, it was a great time of worship, and I was happy to have met my brother Manuel there and lead worship with him. I think we would randomly bust out into songs like, you want to play? And I was like, okay. So we would be eating dinner, and then the next thing you know, it turns into a worship service, and everyone's just praising God. It was really amazing. And yeah, my Spanish is still not too much better, but I enjoyed myself, and I know everyone else did. And let's see, how many people do you have giving testimonies? 5 total? I'll probably be the only one not crying, and everyone else, they're tearing up just thinking about it. But we just got to love on those kids, play soccer, and super hot weather with them, and basketball, and try not to pass out. It was great, and we were blessed to be able to share the gospel with them, and hopefully we can bless them as well. But yeah, so will you welcome to the stage Mr. Benjamin Langford, or as they call him in the South, Benjamin.
Thank you all for your support and your prayers. We couldn't have done it without you guys. We really appreciate that. It was a great time. We really felt the prayers as we were down there. We were walking through and driving through gang-infested streets. It's a pretty dangerous place, so dangerous that when we were in San Salvador, where we were staying, we told people we were going to Opa, they were like, no, don't go there. Like, that's not a good place. You should reconsider. But we felt completely safe the entire time. We had translators with us. We traveled in groups and felt completely safe the entire time. The one thing that I really enjoyed was going to the schools and preaching to them. So we basically would start with some kind of icebreaker game to get them warmed up, and then we would do a couple of testimonies, 1 or 2, depending on how much time we had. And usually that was a salvation testimony from someone, and then maybe a testimony of something in their life. And then we would share the gospel, and then we would pray with them. And we usually would pray the salvation prayer in case they were ready to pray that prayer, or at least so they would know it when the time came. And a lot of times we would go into the classroom, especially the older kids, and they just had a very hard look on their face. You know, they didn't know what we were going to say, they didn't care what we were going to say, they weren't really happy we were there. And a lot of times by the end of that, their face just changed. And I really enjoy that because we're there to plant the seeds and just share the gospel. And you never know when it's going to be that time that child is going to actually understand and accept that. So we just keep doing that. We also, according to Lance, we got into a couple of schools that they weren't able to get into this year. So that was really good. I think they tried to hit all of them in that town before the school season was over. So it was a really good time, and I encourage you, if you're able to go next time, I would encourage you to do that. Thank you.
I too want to thank you for the financial support, for the prayers, for encouragement. We had people make us special T-shirts. We had people posting children's prayers on Facebook. All of that kept us going, and we appreciate that. And there's a part for everybody in board missions. And for some people, it is to offer financial support. For some, it is to stay back and pray. But there were people who were called to go this time who did not. For whatever their reasons were, they did not. And what I want to say to you is, don't let your fears or your insecurities or your unwillingness to be inconvenienced or uncomfortable cost you that blessing. The number one thing I hear is, but I don't speak Spanish. We don't either. But I can tell you something, we didn't need to. When we went into the schools and gave our testimonies, we had translators there. When we were out interacting with the children, we had translators there. Our bracelets are no-word bracelets. They're symbols. You know, we can communicate that way. The gum we had, the stickers we had that had things on them in Spanish, we communicated that way. Painting. You don't need to know a lick of Spanish to be able to slap paint on. You don't need to know how to speak Spanish to give a hug or a smile. Those speak for themselves. And they go beyond all language barriers. And even our last day there, for about an hour, I was sitting in Bradley Jones's quarters there. He shares a home with some of the children. And I was polishing up testimony, preparing to give it later. And I was in there with 4 babies. Jewish. They didn't speak English or Spanish. We spoke this. We had the best time for the better part of time. If he calls you, go. If you don't think you can afford it, they'll make a way. We'll make a way. You just don't know what a blessing it is to be able to go and to do that. And I encourage you to listen to that song. Thank you.
Yeah, so I didn't know what to expect when I was going down there. I didn't know what to expect for the schools. I definitely wasn't expecting for there to be armed guards outside the gates protecting the schools. And I also wasn't expecting how there were windows in the room. They didn't have glass, they were just windows. There was no air conditioning and it was extremely hot in those rooms. See, on Tuesday, it was raining, so rain was just pouring in from the windows, right? So all the kids, they get up and move their desk to the left side of the room. So we have the right side of the room flooded with water. Left side of the room, kids are just listening to us. So the kids, they wanted God. They really did, because when we were talking to them, they were looking at us. We were talking to them when we were done, and we were handing out Bibles and bracelets. They would reach out and grab for them. See, we also went to the worship center multiple times. One time we were outside playing a game, and we were playing with some of the translators. So a local kid came up to us and wanted to play with us. That showed, and he didn't speak English, the kid. So we would have to tell the translator. The translator would have to tell the kid how to play the game. That shows that you don't need to know Spanish just to play with a kid when we have translators. And it was fun. The kid played the game and we had fun. That's it.
I apologize. I think I'm going to be a lot more winded, but this was my first time to go, and my eyes were really open. And I was going to talk about one day when we were in a 7th grade classroom, and I saw the children looking at us, and they were really interested in what they were saying. But we were finishing up, and we went on to a 3rd grade class. Well, as we were in the 3rd grade classroom, one of the 7th graders comes to the door, and he looks at me, and I take him a Bible, because I'm thinking that's what he's learning is a Bible. But he goes back to his seconds, and he pulls out his Bible. And he can speak English. We showed this picture a while ago. His name is Jefferson Ricardo. And I said, oh, Jefferson, I'm so proud that you have your Bible. But he looked at me and he says, yes, but I'm afraid to tell others what's in here. I'm afraid to tell others. So outside his classroom, me and him said a real quick prayer, and I just told him that I would pray and we ask God to give him strength to stand strong in that school and to show others his love and let Ricardo be able to open his Bible to his friends. I went on back into my classroom, the third grade classroom, and while we were in there, here comes Jefferson. And he brings one of his friends, and he asked me, can she have a Bible? Can you believe that? In the schoolroom? A kid asking for a Bible. I gave her the Bible. She just said gracias, because she didn't speak anything but Spanish. And before I got back in the third grade classroom, someone tapped me on the shoulder, and it was a teacher. And the teacher looked down, and he said, can I have one? So I gave him another Bible. We went on back into the classroom, and we were sharing. I looked at the door, and the teacher had the Bible open, looking at it. So I know that seeds were planted, not just with children, but some of the adults there. And like Owen said, sometimes in the afternoons we would go to the youth center, and we would talk to them and play games in there. And it's not a youth center like our YMCA. Let me tell you, it has nothing in comparison to a YMCA. It is a very small, two-story little room with two rooms upstairs. They try to teach English to some of the children out there so they can better themselves and go on to schools and universities. And downstairs is a small kitchen and a little larger size room that we actually stayed in and gathered in and ate with them one night and played games. And one day when we were there, we heard the translators and Manuel give their heart-wrenching testimonies about how God had brought them out of the depths of despair and no hope in their lives, and had given them hope for a future. And Manuel, as Shane was saying, Manuel was one of the poorest people that I met. And I heard later that the only way his mother makes any money is she has a small stand on the side of the street and she sells tortillas. And that's all the money that that family has. But when you got Shane and Manuel together, the light on that man's face shone for glory. God's grace shone through Manuel and Shane everywhere they went. And Shane, I can hear you he was tiresome, and he had such energy and such a great attitude, because we went and talked maybe in 4 classrooms every day. We had 3 different teams, so that meant that Shane and Manuel had to go 12 classrooms every day. So I never saw him got tired. Manuel just had that shine and that light on his face all the time. And the last time I saw Manuel, he hugged me and he took a picture with me. And he said, "Una paz." And I said, "What?" "Una paz." Only one peace. There's only one peace, and it only comes through God. So I remember what he said to me. And I can go on and tell you about the time that we were at the orphanage, and a lady came up to me, and she put her child, I think the man had her son, about a year-old son. Flies were swarming around and everything, but she wanted me to hold him, and she wanted Karen to take a picture of me and her, the mother holding the baby. So outside in that hot place, flies everywhere and everything, we held that baby up, me and the mother, and Karen took the picture. The next thing we knew, the mother was groaning and making sounds like she was wanting something like this. She kept going like this. Remember, Karen? We didn't know the mother couldn't talk. She couldn't talk at all. But she was wanting a picture of her and her son. So Karen turned the camera around and showed her the picture. And you should have seen the smile on that woman's face. It just brought joy to my life to just think something so simple as her seeing a picture of her and her son. That orphanage is also a very, I would say, dreary, sad place, because it is very hot there. It's somewhat dirty and everything, but the kids just swarmed on us. I mean, every time we came there to give out either stickers or whatever, they wanted to be around us. They wanted to be a part of us. And I just have to give my admiration to Brandon Jones. I mean, he truly is giving God's love to those children by living there with them and being a part of that. hope you can just continue to pray for Bradley as he's there witnessing to those beautiful children. And I'll close with something that happened a week ago this Sunday, a week ago today. We were in the Church of Jerusalem. From the outside, it looked like just a small, very small church. And I thought, so what? I got in there, and oh my goodness, the love that those people had, and the auditorium was huge, and they were singing worship songs. And you think we have problems standing up to sing 2 or 3 songs? We stood up about 45 minutes to an hour, and nobody sat down. And there was hardly a dry eye in the house when we got through worshiping and prayers and singing. There was a lady that walked up and down the aisles as we were singing and praying, and she had boxes of Kleenexes. That's how overwhelming their praise and worship time was. She was passing out Kleenexes to people that needed them. But right before that church started, I was just looking around and I was smelling food because I was hungry, and they had a little restaurant, a little coffee shop. And a lady came up to me. I had never seen her, and she gave me a big hug. And she said, "Oh, you're the missionary. I'm so glad you're here." I had never been called a missionary. I really didn't know what to think. It sort of bothered me right then. But when we went into the auditorium and we started singing and praising God, I really just thought, I am just not worthy. I am not worthy at all to be called a missionary. And it was warm in there, and there was no air conditioning, but a breeze blew in on my face, and I believed it was God just telling me, "No, you are not worthy, but with my power and my love, you can do all things. You can go and tell. You can tell everyone." And he brought to my mind Acts 1:8, where it says, "You shall receive power." And I just thought, when we come back here, we can invite people to church at Farley, and that's our Jerusalem. We can go to other states in our country, and that's our Judea and our Samaria. Or what about if we do go to the other ends of the world? That's what we need to do, folks. We need to be telling others about Jesus. Go and tell wherever you are. Do not miss your opportunity. I just want to thank Anna Grace for one thing, for posting those wonderful Bible verses every day, and the little things that the first and graders wrote for us. And for Demetra for making our awesome shirts. She's truly an amazing woman. And I want to thank you for praying for us and giving us the money and the opportunity to go and tell others about God, and for allowing me and Owen to go to experience together. Thank you so much.
But she said all my thank yous, but that's okay. So we had a lot of people praying for us, and a lot of people supporting us, and just so much love that was poured out over the past year as we prepared, and over the last week as we were in El Salvador. And we had people give us money for Bibles, and I know a lot of them are like, "Hey, I don't want the thanks," and they wanted it anonymous, but I wish you could know the things that I know about what was given to us, and how God met all of our needs. He met every single one of them, even before I knew it, and just in an overwhelming and abundant way. That's what I just love about our church, and how they just get behind that, and all the, like you said, Ms. Anna wrote the letters, or the kids in one of her classes wrote all the letters just for her to post them each day so that you could see them and be encouraged. And that Anna and that class with those kids, they're part of this team. That's the good thing. Only so many of us can go, but you know what? Through that, it's like you're there. We're posting pictures on Facebook and things like that, and hopefully you felt like you were with us. And we appreciate Ms. Demetria for making us some shirts, and she couldn't decide on colors, so she made us 2. So we thank you for that. And I told our team today, hey, just wear one of the shirts. We have 3 of them. Wear one of the shirts today, so you'll see all 3 different ones, and just ask Ms. Demetria about how they came, how she came to get the shirts and what she wanted on them. And it's an amazing story. That is just part of missions. That's part of the church. Diving in, supporting and helping. And, there's testimonies before we even left of what God was doing and how He's working. And so it is amazing. One of the things that was unique about this trip is that last time we went, we took, 5 or 6 preachers with us, right? We didn't have that this time, They weren't able to go for various reasons. And I told the team, look, I said, last time each little small team that was going into the classes, they had a preacher with them, just in case they needed a little extra help, and this time they didn't have it. They didn't need it. They needed it last time either. But, God already, spoke to them and told them what to say, and they were obedient in saying what needed to be said. And so it was it was great. And it's good to also know that our Spanish teacher, her husband is here today. So Miss Anna is sitting in the back. She don't want me to point her out, but I just have to say that, just to thank her for, preparing us over the last year. And we did know more Spanish than what we think. When we got there, we were able to communicate that. But I'll tell you, this trip truly changed our church. And the reason I say that is because our team says how it changed them. But, again, it's a church-wide mission trip. All of us have a part, all of us play a part, and all of us are going to be touched and changed through this. Now, if you were to ask me what was the most impacting moment about the trip for me, I would have to say it was on Wednesday. It was the day before we left, and we were. It was different because usually I'm speaking in one of the churches. Well, that's not what they requested. They'd already heard from me, so they wanted to hear from a couple of our team members to share testimonies in the service, and so that's what happened. Bob has a tremendous testimony that I believe most of you have heard probably. And Madeline shared one as well. And so I would have to say that was kind of one of those proudest moments for me, is to see, Madeline getting up in front of the church, and she was so nervous and she didn't want to, and there's a lot of people ended up being there. But her message was so spot on, and it impacted me. I know it impacted the other people in the church in such a way. And it's actually a testimony that she was sharing in the schools as well. And so I would like to share a little bit of that and in my own way. And some of this I've already shared with some of our students before we left. But here's what I want you to take away, I guess, in the next few minutes, about missions, about your life. And Madeline has a shirt that she picked up and said, "My life is a mission trip." And so, if you have your Bibles, please turn to 1 Peter chapter 5 real quick. I'll be very, very short, but sometimes it's hard to be. So, if I were to title this, you can see it up there, Making Your Life Count. All right? And have you ever thought about that? About your life? Hey, am I making my life count? Is my life making an impact on people around me? And the students know, and I have it in my office as well, 1 Timothy 4:12 is kind of my life verse, and it's one that I try to share as often as I can. But it is talking about making that impact, okay? Because what it says is in 1 Timothy 4:12, not the passage I'm preaching from, but 1 Timothy 4:12, let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers. And that word "be an example" is a Greek word, tupos. It means to make an impact. And so this verse right here also is telling us, hey, are we making an impact on people? Are we making our life count? And it says in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in life, and in purity. And so, that verse, yeah, are we making an impact in those areas? But in Madeline's message, she was so moved and so touched and, just trying to get through I would say, a somewhat traumatic event that took place about a month before we even left. And many of you know that the girl from Mount Zion Baptist Church in, I don't know if that's Madison or North Huntsville, where that is exactly, but Madeline was a lab partner to that young lady, and she knew her. And while they were, going to the airport to go on a mission trip to Africa, there was a bus accident, and she was the only one that did not make it out of that alive. Everybody else had some broken bones and busted up pretty good. But this girl, Sarah, she did not make it out of that. And that touched her. That touched our family. It kind of even made us a little anxious. Hey, we're going on a mission trip. Okay? And so it made me think about something. It's like, okay, am I prepared? Am I ready? Am I making my life count? Am I making an impact in my life? Because you know what? The very same thing could happen to me. You don't know how God's going to use different events, okay? And God makes no mistakes, and I don't think God wants all this tragedy that takes place. I don't think all of it is exactly from Him. And sometimes it's through our choices. Sometimes it's for greater things. And yes, it's part of His wonderful and amazing plan. And you think, well, how does a life of a young girl fit in the plan of God? And I'd have to say, if you know the life of this young lady, how she lived on this earth, how she made an impact for God's kingdom, then you're going to say, yes, she's got a phenomenal testimony. Her family has this great testimony, and they've been able to take this tragedy and reach even more people for the gospel. If I were to go out, yes, that is the way that I would want to leave this world, is by making a greater impact than I have inside this world. But it makes me think, what kind of impact do I have in the world? Some of you may have even read some of her journal entry, but in her journal, she wrote in the journal, just a few, probably within the 30 minutes or so before she died. And she references a passage that I just want to read to you. It's 1 Peter 5, 1 through 10. And I'm going to read that real quick and then just make a few short comments. It says this: "So I exhort the elders among you, as fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a partaker in the glory that is going to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory. Likewise, you who are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time He may exalt you, casting all your anxieties on Him, because He cares for you. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to His eternal glory in Christ, will Himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." And so I ask you again this morning, how are you impacting the world with your life? If you want to improve your impact, then I would say you need to take this passage right here and study it carefully. And, there's no way that in just a few minutes that I have with you this morning that I can just pull everything out of this passage. And so if you want to make an impact in your life, if you want to improve that impact, then take this verse, meditate over it. But here's a few things that I want to just highlight for you in just a few points here. If you want to improve your impact, make sure you're serving God. I believe that is a key, and that's what this is talking about at the very beginning of this. And yes, it mentions elders, and it mentions the youngers, okay? And so I believe this passage is talking about all of us. As a believer, we fit into those categories, either an elder or a younger, okay? And so we've got a job to do. We've got a job, and that is serving God. If we want to improve our impact, we've got to make sure that is what we're doing with our life. As I look at this passage, Peter is speaking to all of us, and he's saying, hey, when you serve, choose desire over duty. When you're serving God, it shouldn't be out of, I gotta do this. It should be, God, thank you for allowing me to do this. I don't care what the job is that He's asking you to do. If it's pulling weeds out of a flower bed in the heat of El Salvador, okay? I mean, that's what you do, and you do it with all the glory that God has given you, okay? Just doing it happily, okay? Not thinking, oh, look at that other person over there. They get to sit in the air condition, okay? No, we choose desire over duty. We choose giving over getting. It's not a matter of what we're going to get. It's a matter of what we're giving to God and how we're doing that. It's also choosing to be an example over being in control. We've got to make sure that we're humbly doing what God asked us to do and not domineering over people to make them do it, but happily do it. And so what are some ways that you can continue to serve God? Think about that this morning. The other one is always be humble. As you continue to look through this verse, Peter is talking about clothing yourself with humility. The Bible talks a lot about putting on different elements that we need. We see in Ephesians the armor of God. But here, Peter is telling us to put on humility. All right? Make sure that, hey, what we're doing, it is for God's glory. It's not about us. It's all about Him. And it's easy to put a good show on in front of people. But I'm telling you this, it doesn't work that way with God. God sees all. You can't hide from Him. And so we're to put on humility. And what a better person to talk about humility other than Peter here. All right? I mean, he had this ultimate humility object lesson played out right in front of him right before Jesus was arrested at the Last Supper. Jesus said, hey, I want to wash your feet. And Peter's like, hey, no, don't do that. And Peter says, if you don't let me wash not only your feet, but your whole body, all right? Peter's like, hey, wash it all. Hey, do it. Take care of it. And so he's got this lesson, this object lesson in front of him about being humble, surrendering to God, getting out of your comfort zone, and making sure that you stay faithful to God's Word. The other thing it says here is if we want to improve our impact, we've got to stop worrying. It says in verse 7, casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you. Here's some interesting statistics. The average person's anxiety, 40% are things that will never happen. 30% on things in the past that they can't change. 12% on criticism that is not true. And only 8% are on problems that you actually face. I was kind of blown away by that. But Peter is telling us right here, hey, you know what? Don't be anxious. God's got this, okay? It's not bigger than you can handle. When it comes to, and I'll tell you, sometimes it's hard not to get anxious. When you don't like to fly, you got to hop on an airplane. Or, hey, you got to travel. You don't like to ride in the car for a very long time. Or, hey, when it's getting up in public and you're like, no, I'm not a public person here, okay? You know what? It can be anxious, but God tells you, hey, I've got this. This is not too much for me to handle. Continue to be humble through this time and allow me to help you. The fourth thing, there's one more after this. We want to improve our impact, we got to be alert. Okay? Verse 8 says to be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Here's the thing that I've learned about Satan. He knows how I tick. All right? He knows exactly what's going to make me stumble and fall. And I'm here to tell you, pray for me every single day. You never know how he's going to attack us. But at the same time, I think it's more than just Satan. When we're called to be alert, to be sober-minded, to be watchful, it's about the opportunities that God is placing before us. And again, we live busy lifestyles, okay? But one of the things that it's hard to learn, but I'm learning it, is to continue to try to function on El Salvadorian time, right? Hey, you can be late, but be well dressed, all right? No, but hey, they're late for everything. And what I'm finding out, the reason they're late is because they're helping people. All right, they're serving God. They're alert and looking for opportunities to serve God, to be humble. All right, to get out of our comfort zone. And so if we want to improve our impact, we got to be alert. And lastly, we got to be ready. Verse 9, resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kind of sufferings are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout all the world. Be ready. Be strong in your faith. All right? Be ready for when Satan attacks, because I guarantee you, after a whole year planning for a mission trip, being a week on the mission trip, being on cloud 9, and I hope that you are joining us in that, Satan doesn't like what our church has just done. He doesn't like what's happening today. He's going to attack us. So be ready. Now, one of the ways that God has shown me how to disciple students is, and not only students but parents, and when I teach or I'm over the teaching, I kind of try to follow a pattern. You know, and so with our students, my job to disciple them is to help them to understand or how to know their faith. The next thing is how to defend their faith. And the third thing is how to share their faith. And I believe that those are things that we've got to learn. And when we learn those things, if we're going to be ready to fight off the attacks of Satan, we're going to be ready to find the moments that God has placed before us as believers to serve Him. And so here's what I want you to do this morning is just think about your impact on people. Think about your impact on those that are in your circle of influence. And think about, hey, how are you doing? You know, is there something that I've got to fix? Is there something that's a little off track? Are things going great? So I really need to pray and pray and pray, because the next thing coming is probably going to be something that's going to be very difficult. And so there's always ways to be ready to pray, to improve your impact. But let's just say, you know, this is one of my biggest worries when we go on trips. That Sarah taking a bus, going to Atlanta with her church group, something's going to happen to that bus. We went to Pigeon Forge, that was my fear. Well, let's just say that you're on a bus, and yeah, praise God, you're headed to Atlanta for a mission trip somewhere. And something happens to that bus, and you're the one that loses your life on this earth. You praise God for eternal life. But you lose your life on this earth. Have you made your life count? So I ask you, just bow your heads and close your eyes just for a second. How is your impact? Are there some things that need to take place in your life to get back on track, tweak a little, seek prayer, whatever it may be? Then use this time to just reflect on that. And I know as we come before, just the communion table, God's table, I know in 1 Corinthians, it tells us we've got to check our hearts. And are they in the right place? What we do up here, even though it's for all believers, you don't have to be a member of this church. But what God asks is our hearts, are they in the right place when we do this? When we're reminded of the work of Christ, how He shed His blood, paid the price, the penalty for our salvation. When we remember this act, what does it do to our lives? And so, yes, reflect on that. If there's something that you've got to make right, make it right. If there's someone you've got to talk to because God is just, He's just telling you all the time. And you know that sweet, small, still voice. You've heard it before, over and over. Do that today. Take care of that. Be obedient. Maybe there's somebody here that doesn't know Jesus Christ, that does not have a relationship with Him. Make that right today. Because if you take part in this communion, it's not going to mean anything if you don't have Christ living in you. Maybe you need to follow in believer's baptism. For so long you put it off, and you put it off. And we watched this young lady come down this morning and just make that public. And she has this desire to follow in obedience in what God's Word says in baptism. But maybe you're here and you have not done that yet. And I'd say today, let that be the day that you make that right. Maybe God has placed it on your heart to pray for someone. You've been praying for him for years. Use this opportunity to continue to do that. So God, have your way in this service. In Jesus' name, amen.
God is speaking to your heart.
Are you hurting, broken, thin, overwhelmed by the weight of sin? Jesus is calling. Have you come to the end of yourself? Do you thirst for a drink from the well? Jesus is calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness, the forgiveness, the
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23. For I received from the Lord that which I also delivered to you, that the Lord Jesus on the same night in which he was betrayed, he took bread, and then he gave thanks. Would you bow with me, please? Lord, help us to see the beautiful symbolism of the bread. Lord, you told your disciples, this is my body, it was broken for you. Often wondered why it was necessary for you to be broken. But Lord, considering that you came to a world that was broken, the only way to fix it was for you to allow yourself to be broken. It's a great mystery. Something maybe that we won't fully understand until we stand in your presence. Lord, so being motivated by love. Not only did you separate yourself from your glory, from the splendor of heaven, from your holiness, to come to this earth, but you would allow yourself to be broken so that we can be fixed. And the only way that we can be fixed is by turning to you and trusting in you and you only for our salvation. And that's the salvation of our problems. That's the salvation of our souls. Lord, thank you. Thank you for the solution to our problems. Your broken body. So God, as we partake of this bread, we do so remembering out of your grace and peace. Bless them. In Jesus' name.
Also, we took the cup after supper, saying, "This is the cup. This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me." Father God, I thank you so much for sending your Son to pay the penalty for my sin. Lord, for the sins of the world, God. Your desires for none to perish, not even one. So God, I pray that, Lord, that our church would just continue to reach the lost in this community. Not only here, but, Lord, in all of the United States, God, even beyond those borders. God, that we would just share about how you love us so much. God, how you love us still. Lord, even in our sin, God. Lord, thank you for the price that you paid. Lord, as we come to this part of communion, Lord, where we take this juice, and the symbolism is the blood that was shed for all of us. God, thank you. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Scripture says that when they were through,
They sang again. They rejoiced together. Hard to understand how after a somber supper like that, they could rejoice. But they had great reason to. Couldn't help but think just a moment ago, what a beautiful Savior we serve. Amen. But you know, as we look around this room, He has a beautiful bride too. Amen. Let's stand. Thank you for this. And then we're going to go ahead and offer thanks now for the food. I pray that you will join us if you can in the fellowship hall. If you don't know how to get there, we'll be glad to point you that way. But let's have a word of prayer. We'll ask God's blessing on the fellowship and the food, and then you can share some time with Brother Matt and his family. Father, we thank you so much for the many ways, God, that you bless us. Thank you for this place. Thank you for these people. God, thank you for the outpouring of love that happens daily as a result of this body. Thank you, God, for what you're doing. God, thank you so much for Matt and Melissa. God, you sent them here 4.5 years ago. Lord, I know that you're calling them to other things now. And God, we can't wait to see and to hear what you have in store for them in the next chapter of their life. God, we pray that you would always protect them, that you will always provide for them, Lord, and we know for certainty that the name of Jesus Christ will always be proclaimed and exalted through them. Now, Lord, go with our brothers and our sisters. And God, I pray that it won't be long. We'll have an opportunity to worship together again and to celebrate your goodness and your grace. Bless our time of fellowship. Bless the food that has been prepared. May all honor the glory of your Son, Jesus. And it's in his name we pray.